Okay, welcome back to another edition of the Horsemen Pro Football Talk podcast. This is the week. I don't even know what week it is.
12.
Is it week 12?
Yep.
All right, this is the week 12 preview, and I'm Brad.
This is Zach.
And I'm Hefe.
And we are all back together again, albeit temporarily, because Mr. Wanderlust over here is taking off again tomorrow. When will you be back?
I'm only gone 5 days, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I'll be back next week.
Okay, I'm going to quote your grandmother. Where do these people get all their money? All right, so if you're watching this, please hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so that you never miss an episode or miss your chance at a jersey giveaway. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, head on over to YouTube and help us out. We certainly appreciate your support. And here we go. We are in week 12. First of all, got to take a moment to say, how about them Rams?
Yes, sir. Put an ass whooping on Tom Brady, making him look like he didn't belong there.
The Rams, it's ironic that we had the conversation we had about the NFC West yesterday, and the Rams played like they did. If the Rams can hold that and or build on it, they're a true contender, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
Yeah. So, they flip-flopped, right? I mean, they kind of moved around a little bit. The Rams move ahead of the NFC West. I think the Seahawks moved to 5th, and everybody else moves down. Not much of a change, but enough of a change. So we'll see what happens. The Rams could emerge they could win that division. We need to keep a close eye because I was really impressed with what they did last night.
Yeah, it's looking pretty possible right now if they keep their defense is playing really, really well right now. They were all over Tom last night.
They were. Yeah, they really, really were. And they showed several clips of him being hurried and changing his decisions and the things that he does. Oh, and that word has also gotten out. As far as Tampa Bay is concerned, everybody's bringing the heat now.
Yep.
They'll sell everything out to bring the heat and disrupt his rhythm. So,
yep.
But better be careful, because if you don't do it right, he will burn you. All right. I was going to say, as this is part of what we do, we get paid to talk about the Texans and the Lions, but that's not necessarily the case. NFL's not writing any checks over here, so let's move on this one really quick. Lions are home on Thanksgiving. It's the only reason I picked them in this game. Like I said last week, I didn't trust the Lions. They proved that I was right in every aspect of that. Didn't even show up for the game against the Panthers. I don't have any idea what to expect. I'm probably going to miss this one. The Texans are probably going to go into Detroit and lay an ass whipping down.
Yeah, I think that's what's probably going to happen. Since Houston fired Bill O'Brien, the Texans are 3-3 with an overtime loss to Tennessee and a 3-point loss to Cleveland. They have played a lot better than their current record indicates. The Lions in that time span are also 3-3. Each of their losses weren't even close, and their only wins were against Jacksonville, Atlanta, and Washington. Houston's a favorite by 3 on the road. I'm going to take them on Thanksgiving Day.
This is one of those toss-up games of the week, really, and I don't know if a whole lot of people are even going to be paying attention to this one. This is going to be primetime, lunchtime on Thanksgiving, but I'm gonna take the Lions here. I don't really have any good reason why other than I want the Texans to lose, so I'm taking the Lions.
Jeff going with the emotional pick. And, while you were both talking, I was sitting here thinking, gosh, maybe I should take the Texans. But I'm going to stick with the initial one because I could back and forth this for the next 48 hours. So let's just move on because it doesn't matter. Nobody cares. I don't even know if the Texans and Lions fans care at this point. It's gotten that bad. But two teams that are even worse that their fans do care would be the Washington football team at the Dallas Cowboys, because even at 3-7, everybody's all locked up for first place in probably the worst division in the history of the NFL. I'm only taking the Cowboys because it's Thanksgiving and they're at home, and they showed some promise the other day. Promise is a strong word, I assure you.
Yeah, so this game has huge playoff implications. Quite honestly, I'm not real sure who to roll with. Washington has a good defense, but their offense just can't get the ball down the field. Meanwhile, Dallas's defense is horrendous, but their offense is loaded with playmakers. I have confidence in Andy Dalton's ability, so I'm going to take Dallas here as a 3-point favorites.
This is another toss-up game of the week, right? But I think that overall, Washington's defense is going to be able to do enough against the Cowboys' offense to affect them in this game. I think Andy Dalton is going to turn the ball over. Zeke's probably going to fumble again. He's had an issue with that this year. I think Washington's got this one.
All right, next game up is the Ravens at the Steelers. By all intents and purposes, this should be no contest. However, it is an interdivision game. We're still waiting for the Ravens to get it together. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to move to 11-0.
Yeah, with the Baltimore players dropping like flies due to COVID and given their recent struggles over the last few weeks, I don't see them being able to go into Pittsburgh and winning this one. The Steelers are 4.5-point favorites. I expect them to cover that spread and remain the lone unbeaten team in the league.
I don't really have much to add, between the decline over the last couple of weeks and the COVID situation on a short week. And they're not going to have enough juice in this game to even come close to the Steelers.
Which is too bad because I think, the way things should have been, this should have been a really entertaining Thanksgiving Thursday night football game. And it's kind of unfortunate the way it's played out. So, all right, those are your Thanksgiving games. Let's move to Sunday. The Raiders travel all the way to Atlanta. The Falcons, Raheem Morris has shaken something loose in Atlanta, but I don't think it matters. The Raiders are not only getting better, they're getting more confident. They beat the Chiefs once. They took them to the brink the other night. They know they're in the hunt. Chucky's going to have them ready, and they believe they can do it. And this might be an ass stomping.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. Vegas is a playoff contender. They've proven they can beat anybody in the league. They almost pulled out another win against the 9-1 Kansas City Chiefs last week. This will be a very high-scoring game. The Raiders are only favored by 3 on the road, but I'm still taking them to cover.
Yeah, I think, like Zach said, this should be a high-scoring game. If you listen to our Fantasy Central episode, I mentioned that I think both these teams are going to be pretty pass happy. I think it's going to be a really fun game to watch, especially if Julio Jones plays in this game. I think it'll be a more interesting game. But overall, I think either way, the Raiders should win and cover.
Okay. We are all three taking the Raiders. Next up, the Los Angeles Chargers travel from sunny and warm Southern California all the way to the frozen tundra in Buffalo. It's not going to be that cold, which is relative, right? Because when I tell you, you guys are going to be like, we've been down here long enough in Southwest Florida that I tell you that it's going to be about 40 degrees on game day. And for people in the Midwest and the Northeast, they're like, that's reasonable. For people who live in the South, that's horrible, absolutely horrible. I don't know that it'll have that much of an effect on professional players other than the Chargers don't have an identity. They're floundering under Anthony Lynn. The Bills are really trying to pull it together and make a playoff run. If the Bills are whoever says they are, if the Bills are legit, this should be no contest on Sunday.
Yeah, Buffalo's coming off their bye week right after that heartbreaking last-second loss to Arizona in Week 10. I fully expect them to come out rolling. They're favored by 5.5 at home. There should be no problem to cover that spread.
Yeah, I think it'll be entertaining game, but in the end, there's just no confidence that even if the Chargers hold a lead late, they're going to give that one up. I think Josh Allen comes out and I don't know if he can get himself back in MVP conversation, but I think he's going to ball out in this game and look really good. And I think the Bills go to 8-3.
Okay, we're all three taking the Bills. Next up, New York Giants, Cincinnati Bengals. At first glance, this looks like nobody cares, and this is a complete disaster. But I think this is a chance. I'm calling out Joe Judge. This is it right here. This is a chance to start making a statement. The Cowboys have an explosive offense. We just talked about that. The Giants aren't expected to do anything. It appears that Joe Judge that they've got something brewing in New York, and the Bengals are without Joe Burrow. This is it. This is the time to pump your guys up, to put a game plan in. I don't care if you grind it out and you only win by one. This is a big opportunity. This 4-7 would make a world of a difference for a franchise that's trying to get it under its feet.
Yeah, if Joe Burrow was in there, I'd definitely give this one a little bit of thought. Unfortunately, as we all know, he's out for the rest of the year with that gruesome knee injury he suffered last week. The Giants have been on the rise, and with every NFC East team fighting to take the divisional lead, I think they're going to win this one in Cincinnati. They're favored by 6. They should be able to cover.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a big Giants defense kind of game. What's his backup's name? Finley. The way he looked after he came in for Joe Burrow, I know he's had time to practice now. Should look better this upcoming Sunday, but it didn't look good by any means. And I expect the Giants to be all over him and not give him a whole lot of clean passing lanes. And so I'm going to go with the Giants here.
Okay, we all three agree the Giants should win this one. And I would really like for them to. I'd like to see this team start their identity start emerging. All right, next up is the Browns at the Jaguars. The Jaguars may be worse than the Jets, as much as I hate to say that. This should be no contest whatsoever.
Yeah, Jacksonville's fighting with the New York Jets to be the worst team in the league. They're in need of a quarterback, so if I were them, I'd do everything possible to lose this game. But I don't think, even if they did try to win, they'd be able to stop the 7-3 Browns, which, by the way, is very weird to say, right?
Very weird.
Yeah, Browns are sitting there at 7-3. But Cleveland's favored by 6.5. They'll cover this one.
Yeah, I think they will too. I don't think this game is going to be very close at all. I think Nick Chubb, this might be another one of those games where Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt both have 100 yards rushing. It really wouldn't surprise me here. Like you guys said, shouldn't even be close. Browns all the way.
All right, so we are all three, hands down, we're all three taking the Browns. There is 4.9% are picking the Jags. Who are these people? They're probably
Duval.
Well, okay, never mind. You got me.
Yeah.
Okay, so the game, probably the game of the week. This game has serious playoff implications. The Titans at the Colts. Colts had a big win 2 weeks ago. Both teams had a big win on Sunday, and this is really for all the marbles. I've talked before that I'm not sure that two teams will make it out of this division into the playoffs, which means that winning this division could be everything, and they know that. Other than that, you're taking it to chance on what other people are going to do. So controlling your own destiny is the key. The game's in Indianapolis, and with the way they beat the Titans the first time and beating Green Bay on Sunday, I have to go with Indianapolis here.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of echo the same sentiment. This is definitely my personal game of the week. If it wasn't for Kansas City, Tampa Bay, that's kind of also the game of the week, which we'll get to. But the winner takes the outright lead in the AFC South and significantly increases their chances of making the playoffs. 2 weeks ago, Indianapolis stomped the Titans in Tennessee 34-17. This week, the Colts are at home where they are 4-1, including an overtime thriller against the Green Bay Packers last week. This should be another great game. The Colts are favored by 3.5. With the way this offense has been playing, coupled with the league's best defense, I'm going to have to roll with the Colts here to cover the spread.
Yeah, I like the Colts here too. And obviously, probably more of a homer pick, but they beat them a couple weeks ago, and I feel confident that they can do it again. And obviously last time they played, special teams played a big hand in it and helped them keep themselves in that game and obviously take the lead and win that game. But the defense over the last 2 games in the second half has been unreal. Whatever they're doing at halftime, Eberflus is making all the right adjustments. And all we really have to worry about really is Derrick Henry, right? He's the only running back that's gotten 100 yards on the Colts over the last 2 years, and he's done it 2 or 3 times now. So, yeah, I mean, he's really the only concern. If we can stop him, and if he's not, when he wasn't in the game when they played, they were off the field quickly, and that's how they got into those punting situations where the Colts got the block, and then there was that short punt. So I think this is going to be a Colts-dominated game on all 3 phases again.
Let's hope so. All right, we're all 3 taking the Colts. It's too bad this isn't a Thanksgiving game. I mean, they had the Thursday night game a couple weeks ago, but this would be fun to watch on Thursday. But anyway, next up is the Dolphins at the Jets. So as much as we've talked a lot about Flores and Tua and Fitzpatrick, and at this point, the Flores is going to go with Tua against the Jets, and I think that's the right move. At this point, with everything being the way it is, he could always come back the next week and put Magic back in, but they shouldn't have any problems beating the Jets. They're a disaster. They are on the road in New York, but I think this is the right move. Dolphins should still win with Tua.
Yeah, we had talked about benching Tua last week could potentially screw up his confidence, but luckily for him and the Miami Dolphins, they are taking on the winless New York Jets this week. So I expect him to regain a lot of that confidence back and Miami to remain relevant in the AFC wildcard race. They're favored by 7. Too many weapons on that offense not to cover the spread, and they got a pretty good defense too.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I think the defense is going to do enough to win this game for them. I don't think the Jets are really going to be able to put points up. And so, whoever they decide to go with at quarterback, I think it'd work out either way. Dolphins all the way this weekend.
Yeah. I just think this is almost like a preseason game. So you want the kid to get some experience. I mean, obviously he's the future. Everybody knows it. So hopefully he gets his confidence back and he has a good game, and the Dolphins move up another notch. So, all right, Panthers at Vikings. This isn't even worth flipping a quarter. I don't even want to waste a quarter on this game. The Vikings are pissing me off. I can't figure out whether they're coming or going, man. I've tried all season to hold these guys up, and just when it looks good and they win a couple games, turn around and lose to the Cowboys, and then let the Cowboys fans start getting obnoxious again because they're tied for first in the worst division in the history of the NFL. I want to pick the Vikings because they're at Minnesota and they should be the better team, but they're like the Lions, man. I don't know what to expect. So I'm going to go with them. To long story short, I'm going to pick the Vikings, knowing damn well and good that I may miss this whole thing.
Interesting, yeah. I kind of feel the same exact way you do. I'm really unsure about this game. Like you said, just when you think the Vikings are on the rise, they drop a game to the Dallas Cowboys of all teams. It's also a very high possibility their number one wide receiver, Adam Thielen, is going to miss this game with COVID. Carolina, on the other hand, stopped their 5-game skid last week with the 20-0 shutout against Detroit. I think that'll boost their confidence just enough heading into this one. So I'm going to take Carolina to pull off the upset in Minnesota.
Yep, I'm kind of up in the air about this one too. This is one that could really go either way because Dalvin Cook, Dalvin Cook should have a huge game here against Carolina. Their run defense has obviously been a problem, so he should eat and they should be able to control the ball. But I like Carolina. It's already doubtful that they get Christian McCaffrey back this week, so that's already not part of the equation, right? But I believe Teddy's going to be back, and so I'm going to go ahead and take the Panthers here with Zach.
All right, leaving me out on an island. Moving on. All right, Cardinals and Patriots. The Patriots are the same way, but a little different. So I've had optimism about the Vikings that they're better than they are, but I've had the reverse of that with the Patriots, that they're worse than they have been, and they keep popping up and winning a game and then losing the game. So they're like, it's almost the same scenario, just a little bit switched emotions. I don't know whether to bet against the Patriots at home in New England or not. I haven't checked the weather there. It's probably going to be in the 40s. But Arizona's in the best conference in the league, and if they're a contender, they should win. So I'm gonna have to give them a boost of confidence and pick them this week.
Yeah, Arizona had a rough 4-game stretch against playoff caliber teams. And they came out of that 2-2. Like you said, New England is very hit or miss this season. 3 of their 4 wins have come against playoff teams. I think they're very capable of winning this game, but I'm going to have to play it safe and go with the 2.5-point favorites here and pick the Cardinals to cover in Foxborough.
Yeah, that's definitely the safe play here. Cardinals, by all means, should win this game. I don't think there's any way Cam has 375 2 games in a row. There's no way he's going crazy like that. And I mean, they lost against the Texans, and you lose to the Texans and don't have a whole lot of confidence that you can beat the Cardinals. So I'm going with the Cardinals as well.
Okay, we're all three picking the Cardinals. But again, I said for 17 years, don't ever bet against Belichick. And when I said I'm picking the Cardinals and you guys said you're picking the Cardinals, I hear that voice in the back of my head. It's like PTSD from 20 years of what we just went through, but we'll see. All right, next up, Saints at Broncos. This game freaks me out. Dude, I don't know if you guys heard, 11 freaking broken ribs. What is he, 40?
It's insane. And a collapsed lung.
Dude, these are like injuries that like kill people in a car accident. This is serious.
How did he even get, was it a hit?
I don't know.
Pretty sure it was like when he was getting sacked, when he got hit for the sack, I'm pretty sure big dude just fell on him and crushed him.
Oh.
See, the thing about this is not, first of all, I've never had a broken rib, but I know people that have. So this is only secondhand, this is subjective information from observing other people. And what I've been told and what I've observed is extremely painful, extremely painful. I don't know anybody that's had 11 broken ribs ever. That's just ridiculous. So when people have broken ribs, they can't breathe. Every time they breathe in, it's a shot of pain, and it like interrupts their sleep, and they can't sleep all night and they can't move. So not only can he not physically do anything, he can't train which is bad enough for any athlete, but at his age, at our age, I'm a little bit older than Drew, but at our age, you literally lose it 5 to 10 times as fast as you can put it back on. I mean, that like men over 40 should not go more than 2 days without working out because it falls off that fast. This guy, he'd be lucky if he can get up off the couch and go to the bathroom right now without being in extreme pain. And I'm not exaggerating. Then you take into account the guy's not sleeping. I mean, he's waking up all night long, and this is going to go on for 6 to 8 weeks. Now, deprive yourself of sleep for 6 to 8 weeks and then get back on a normal sleeping schedule. And what do you think is going to happen? The first 2 weeks, you're going to sleep for 12 to 14 hours a day. It just doesn't go away. This guy is in serious rehab trouble. And I don't want to overplay this. If he comes back, first of all, 6 to 8 weeks puts him in mid to end January. We're to the NFC Championship and or the Super Bowl. So the Saints would have to make it that far. If he comes back in 6 to 8 weeks, I'll kiss his ass because that is the most remarkable comeback. I don't see it. I'm worried that he may not be able to come back at all from this. That's a little bit of an exaggeration because he's a pro athlete, but it's his age that's really worrying me with this. I just want to make the point. This is a serious injury. This is a big 11 broken. When I heard that yesterday, I about fell out of the chair. I thought, holy shit, I can't believe what this guy is going through. I really hope this isn't the end of his career. And not only if he does come back that he may not be the same player, the same thing we were talking about with Joe Burrow. I'm really concerned for a legend in this game that he may be pulling up short.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I was looking up a couple days ago to see, typically how long does it take for rib fractures to heal up, and that there were some that were quicker, like the 6 to 8, but it said that more severe cases can be anywhere between 3 and 6 months to fully heal up. And I had heard the same thing that it was 11 fractures, and I just thought, they're talking about, he's making good progress and this and that, but it I don't know if that's just not safe at that point. The lungs are right there. That's just not safe to go back out there.
Yeah, and let's look at guys. We talk about like Alex Smith returning, and some of these guys that have had horrible injuries that have come back. The one thing they all have in common is youth. You take a guy like Drew Brees at his age, and he can't play for 6 months. That's the equivalent of some of those guys not playing for 3 or 4 years. And we've seen guys try to come back after 3 or 4 years, and they just don't have it anymore. That's my whole point. I'm really concerned about this. I guess the question then becomes, we just saw what the Broncos did to Tua, right? So, and we just talked about how amazing the Saints played despite Breeze not being there and all that kind of stuff. Can Hill withstand the Broncos defense? If the Broncos bring what they brought to Tua, can the Saints fend that off, and can Hill withstand that, or do the Broncos get an upset here?
New Orleans really impressed me last week by having that convincing win.
Wait a minute, Garrett Bowles is listening. Be very careful.
I know, right? But yeah, I agree. This game makes me very nervous. Do not be surprised if Denver pulls this one out. But I like to think that the Saints do have a ton of weapons at their disposal, and they're favored by 5.5 heading into Mile High. They should be able to cover. But again, do not be surprised if Denver pulls this one outright.
I would be surprised if Denver pulled this one out because, kind of to answer your question, Brad, I think the difference here between Denver and the Broncos and Denver and New Orleans is going to be the fact that the Saints have so much other firepower on their offense. They have a really solid offensive line. So like everything around Taysom Hill is really good. And if he's not good enough as a pure passer, they can bring Jameson and slide Taysom Hill and do the wildcat stuff and let him line up at tight end and stuff like that. So, if he struggles, I would expect that to happen. But, I think Kamara is going to have a huge hand in this game. I think they're going to let Taysom Hill know you got to use this guy. He's right there for you to use him. Go ahead and use him. He should have a big day, from a receiving standpoint and a rushing standpoint. Michael Thomas probably going to get a lot of targets again. So I don't think this is going to be much of an issue here. I trust Taysom Hill and I trust the Saints offense and there's the Saints defense. So I'm taking the Saints.
Okay. And I think, Zach, you took the Saints too, right?
Yeah.
We're all picking the Saints. I just think that I think the Saints are at a bigger crossroads than I thought they were yesterday. Breeze is gone for the season, and it changes the complete complexity. So, with that said, again, we want to wish Drew Brees a healthy and full, speedy recovery. I hope in 8 weeks, Brees makes me look like a dumbass, like I have no idea what I'm talking about, and he walks back onto that field and performs like he did before. I'll be happy to take that. So, all right, let's move on. 49ers at the Rams. After what I saw them do to Tampa Bay, there's no question they're in LA. I'm going with the Rams.
Yeah, they're coming off an impressive win against Tampa Bay, which puts them in first place in the very tough NFC West. The first matchup with San Francisco, the 49ers won 24-16. But the Rams are in Los Angeles in this one, and their train is moving in the right direction. They're favored by a touchdown. I think they'll keep chugging right along and cover this one.
I think recency bias is what's telling me to go with the Rams here, but I feel like the 49ers have a bye. They had a bye week. They're able to get healthy. Kyle Shanahan getting the guys back together. Like, all right, let's try to finish this strong. Let's stay in this thing. And it feels like this could be the upset game this week. I'm going to pick the Rams here, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers came out and punched them in the mouth early and got on top and won this game.
Yeah, I got to agree. I have to agree with you that the 49ers are capable of winning this game. But I think the separation's starting to happen. I think the Rams are starting to pull away. Now, it's only one game, right? I mean, the 49ers could walk in and win this one 31-9, and we're having a different conversation next week. But we'll see. I really hated the 49ers kind of got the shaft with being in such a great division, have all the injuries. I think that situation is a little different for them. They have a completely different year, and I hate it for them because one of the NFC East teams is going to get in, and I think the 49ers are a much better team than any of those teams. So, all right, next game up, Chiefs, the Buccaneers. I don't want to be completely down on the Bucs. I think this is going to be an offensive shootout, probably be in the 30s, but Chiefs are 9-1, quietly slid in there, and 9-1 is nothing to shout about. They're the Chiefs, and the Buccaneers have some problems they need to solve, and I think the Chiefs are going to get a win on this one.
Yeah, it's the other game of the week for me. The question is, can Tampa recover after last week's loss to the Rams? The Chiefs have shown vulnerability. It all depends on what Bucs team decides to show up in this one. But with their inconsistency and going against the 9-1 defending Super Bowl champions and their absolutely loaded offense, I have to take them here to cover the 3.5-point spread.
That's how I feel too. I just think if the Rams can put up 27 on you, then the Chiefs are probably about to come in and put 40 plus on you. So, after what I just saw, again, probably a lot of recency bias here, but I think the Chiefs are going to kind of make this one, a little laughable. I don't think it's going to be very close.
Yeah, we're all in agreement there, and that slides us right into the next game. Speaking of putting up 40 points, the Packers hosting the Bears. This is not a good time to be a Bears fan walking into Green Bay after Aaron Rodgers just lost the game he thought he was going to win in the end. I expect him to completely air this out and blow this game out.
Yeah, the Bears defense is pretty stout, but they're not as good as the Colts. And he still put up, what was it, 31 points against the Colts?
And was real close to putting up 38. I mean, they were real close to putting up another touchdown.
Yeah, exactly. So after dropping last week's overtime game to the Colts, I think Rodgers and companies would bounce back in this one. It's a big divisional matchup. The Bears are trying to stay relevant. I don't see it happening. The Packers are favored by 7.5 going into Lambeau. I have them covering.
Yeah, I think they'll cover too. This really isn't going to be close. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of Packers points here. That Chicago defense still does its thing, but I also don't know if we're going to see the Chicago offense be able to put up any points at all. Maybe a couple field goals, but again, I think they win this game and they cover.
Okay, we're all three taking the Packers. Last game, the only people that care are the people that reside in two cities, Seattle and Philadelphia. I shouldn't say that. There'll be a lot of NFC West, fans of the other NFC West teams watching to see what they do. The Seahawks should win this game. I mean, it is in Philadelphia, but the Seahawks should create some distance here and remain in the fight for the top of the NFC West.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the beginning of the end for the Eagles' reign atop the NFC East. Seattle's favored by 6 going into Philadelphia. I got them winning, coming out on top, +6.
I think they'll definitely be able to cover that too. I don't think this is really going to be a close game here. The Seahawks should have this one all the way as long as their defense keeps playing well. This should be a game where their defensive line, which hasn't done much all year, can finally eat a little bit going against a weak offensive line. So I think that, again, the Seahawks are going to win. I have the final score 30-17.
Okay, we're all taking the Seahawks. And that does it. It's that time of year where things are pretty cut and dry. So we move through these pretty quickly. What you'll want to catch is the recap episode that we do at the beginning of the week as we break down the changing playoff picture and discuss who's jockeying around who and the way that looks. We also want to remind you to please be sure to show us some love, like, share, and subscribe. It's word of mouth, really. So if you've enjoyed anything we've said, you agree with what we said, you don't agree with what we said, you laughed at something we said, please share it with other people. We certainly would appreciate it to help us get the word out. So we also want to try to reach 1,000 YouTube subscribers. And if you help us do that, we're going to give away an authentic NFL jersey from the NFL shop on us. So be sure that you subscribe to the channel. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, head on over to YouTube and help us out. We appreciate that support. We want to remind you it's not too late to go head-to-head again on the pick and battle. hop on our Facebook, Twitter page. It's at Horsemen Sports. You can find the link to join for free. And it's not too late in the season. We still go head to head every week. And even though I forgot to pick one week, I'm still technically 10 points down or whatever. So big deal. So we like to laugh and joke. So we'd like you to join us for that. And then maybe we'll have you on air with us to represent your team. For all the fantasy fanatics, if you haven't already, be sure to check out the latest episode of Fantasy Central, released just last night, where the Oracle and the Guru will cover the top waiver wire picks, must starts, and players to avoid for the coming week. A must as you're winding down your season if you want to make the playoffs. And of course, we will see you back here again on Tuesday, where we will not only review the games from the weekend, but as I said, we will break down the ever-changing playoff picture that's getting more and more interesting with injuries and teams emerging and teams sliding backwards. So check with us. Until then, thanks for joining us. We hope you have an amazing and wonderful, happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next week.